Hey s'mores, I'm Shannon Morse. Welcome to Morse Code. If you are new here, I do in-depth tech reviews and tutorials, and I have been creating content on YouTube for 12 years on all sorts of different channels. Welcome to my second ever Apple-centric review. This time, it's of the iPhone 12 mini in green. See, I used to have a co-host that would review iOS products while I did Android products, so now I'm doing both since this is my solo show. I unboxed the mini on the 13th, and I have been acclimating myself to iOS since it's been years, to the point where I can finally bring you my review. This one is very similar to the 12 Pro Max review, but there are some outstanding differences between the two phones. Unlocked, the mini starts at $729 or $699 on carrier for 64 gigs, $779 for 128 gigs unlocked, or $879 for 256 gigs unlocked. It's really disappointing that Apple chose to start with 64 gigs. I feel like that's way too low for storage in 2020. The mini does come in white, blue, red, black, and green. Similar to the 12 Pro Max that I reviewed earlier this week, this one also has the ceramic shield front, but the back is glass with an aluminum frame. The front glass is better at withstanding drops and falls without cracking, but it does scratch pretty easily, so I do have a screen protector in thanks to my friend Travis MCP on YouTube. Thank you so much, Travis, I appreciate you. The glass back is pretty fragile, but the aluminum frame is still looking pretty new even after I've dropped it, or I missed the charging port with the included lightning cable, so aluminum is pretty durable. The glass on the back picks up fingerprints easily, but the aluminum on the sides does not because it has this nice matte frosting. It's like a frosty green. Like a mint. The volume buttons and the silent slider are on the left side, the power button is on the right, the stereo speakers are found at the top within the notch and the bottom next to the lightning port. I do like how the buttons are situated. I feel like they are highly responsive and they have a nice tactile click whenever you click them. The speakers are loud and they are clear, and they are also even, just like on the Max Pro. One does not sound louder than the other, which I appreciate. Listening to videos on YouTube or podcasts or even music was very pleasant since it didn't seem too heavy on the highs or the trebles, and there was a little bit of bass that came through, but not too much. The mini weighs a whole whopping 4.76 ounces, and it's almost just half the weight of the Pro Max. It feels like a little feather. Like if you're not careful, you might forget that it's in your hand and you might accidentally toss it at something. I haven't done that yet, but I feel like it might happen. It's also tiny. It's at 5.18 inches by 2.53 inches by 0.29 inches. So same depth as the Pro Max, but a completely small height and width. It is so small, it's legit the same size as the last iPhone I owned, which I think was the iPhone 5 way back in 2014. Also, the 12 mini is IP68 water, splash, and dust resistant as well, which is a nice perk. The display, while it is tiny, let me unlock it, it is mighty. It's a Super Retina XDR display at 5.4 inches. So little, and it's an OLED display. It hits 476 pixels per inch at 2340 by 1080 pixels resolution, which is lower than the Pro Max, but it's also a smaller size, so you don't really notice. It also maxes out at a less brightness at 625 nits brightness or 1200 nits max brightness with HDR. I do leave mine on auto. It's plenty bright for pretty much all occasions. I also leave True Tone on since I like the more natural tones, as I feel like that kind of helps with my own eye strain. Even though the display is 60 Hertz, just like on the Pro Max, Apple has made the interface really smooth and fluid, so whenever you're zipping around from one place to another or from one app to another or scrolling or anything like that, you kind of forget that it's set at 60 Hertz, and I can't say the same for the Android phones that I have tested and the ones that I own. Whenever I'm going from 120 Hertz down to 60, I do notice it on Android. I do wish scrolling with your thumb was faster, but I have found that continuous scrolling is a really nice perk to have, and kind of wish I had that on Android. The notch is painfully obvious if you're coming from a phone that does not have one, and the screen is definitely not edge to edge. There is a black border on all sides, so I would suggest turning on dark mode if that is something that annoys you. Apple's A14 Bionic chip is in this phone as well, and that makes for a very fast phone. Face ID on here is very fast, just like it is on the Pro Max. I haven't experienced anything that really matches that on Android phones, although I have had good experiences on Android. Nothing is as fluid as Face ID seems to be. Face ID also works with all of my secure apps. It works with my password manager, for example. It also works with my bank, and it works with like the Apple Store whenever I'm downloading apps, because I do prefer to have that additional security step. I like that I have to be aware and awake for it to work, and it does not work with a Rona face mask or a Korean facial mask either. Just keep those in mind. More on security in my Apple versus Android comparison video, which I do plan to get out sometime in the near future. As far as usage goes, the phone is very quick and it's very zoomy. Everything that I have done on this phone, whether it's using Maps or Pokemon Go or just simple social media or YouTube uploads or whatever it might be, everything seems very, very comfortable to use. It's really, really a fluid experience. My Slingshot Extreme 3D Mark score was 5208. That is lower than my Samsung Fold 2, the S20 FE, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It is higher though than the Pixel 5. I did play some Pokemon Go on this one, just like I did with the Pro Max, because that's my favorite mobile game, and I had no issues with this one either. Video, very similarly to audio, is also top-notch on this phone. It includes perks like Dolby Atmos and HDR with Dolby Vision, and I really need to give props to Apple again for the haptics in this phone. Just like on the Pro Max, the vibrations feel very, very nice to use whenever you're typing things on the keyboard or you change a setting, which you can always go in and customize these in your settings, or if you edit your home screen. It does have a nice haptic engine, so you do get that physical feedback whenever you are doing changes on the phone. Now let's talk charging. I did get a MagSafe charger to use with it, and I have tested it with both of my new iPhones. I also have a 20-watt AC adapter for the MagSafe charger and for the phone if I ever want to use Lightning. The phone does come with a Lightning to USB-C cable. It does not come with a USB-C wall wart, so you gotta buy one. The MagSafe works fine with the 12 mini at 15 watts of charging, and it does magnetically click into place, just like all the advertisements said that it would. It leaves a mark on the back of the phone, which I always wipe off with a cloth, and I do find that this is useful since on other pads, I always have trouble kind of finding where the iPhone is supposed to sit, which is interesting because I don't really have those issues with Android. I do use the Lightning to USB-C adapters pretty often, as well as the cables, mostly just because I don't want to buy 4 MagSafe chargers. I feel like that would be a ridiculous expense just to charge my new phones. And I do use this with Qi stands, which I already have around my house, like my Google Pixel stand and my Nomad charger, but it only charges at 7.5 watts, which is kind of unbearably slow. The battery in this one is a 2,227 milliampere hour battery. I did take a screenshot to show how fast I was able to drain the battery with normal usage, so you can see my screen on time. 5G. This is hard to test whenever there is a pandemic. While I have not had a chance to take this thing into a 5G area yet because I live right outside of one, it does have excellent coverage for calls, GPS navigation, regular usage, and I do test it with Google Fi and I haven't had any issues. So I am excited to see what kind of speeds I can get through 5G on Google Fi, which runs through T-Mobile's towers. It does accept dual SIM, a nano SIM, and an eSIM. I do want to chat about the cameras. There are 2 on the rear, as you can see here, an ultra wide and a wide camera. The ultra wide is 2.4 aperture at 120 degrees field of view, and the wide is an f1.6 aperture. It does have 2 times optical zoom and 5 times digital zoom. Night mode, slow motion, time lapse, portrait mode, portrait lighting are all different features that you can find in the default camera app. Optical image stabilization is included in just the wide camera. I do find regular wide photos are almost identical to the Pro Max, but you do lose the telephoto lens that you get on the Pro Max. Yellows are a bit more saturated than they are in real life, but overall, colors are again accurate. Sunny backgrounds do tend to get blown out, but details are kept very crisp in the photos. There's definitely some noise in the photos whenever I'm using it in low light settings, especially on the ultra wide lens, which does make sense given the different specs. Having an f1.6 aperture though on the wide lens does give you a very nice natural portrait look without the the cutout that you get in portrait mode. Since this one is similar in price to the Pixel, I am very excited to review this one side by side with that one and just do a camera comparison. For video, it can do up to 4K 60 FPS or HDR with Dolby Vision up to 30 FPS, a step down from the Pro Max, and I did make a couple of example videos. This is a recording on the iPhone 12 mini, testing out the audio, optical image stabilization, as well as the video quality. I am recording this with natural light at 4K 24 FPS. Let's see how it looks. I am also behind the camera, so we'll see how the audio sounds once it picks up. How lovely is that? Beautiful. I did this all myself. Yeah, boy. And here's my example of an earthquake video where I'm shaking the camera, the iPhone 12 mini. Maybe this is just me, but I do feel like the audio and the OIS are better in the Pro Max. What do you think? The front-facing camera, which is called the True Depth camera, can do 12 megapixel photos at f2.2. This one can also do the portraits, emojis, animojis, lighting effects, night mode, video recording up to 4K 60 or HDR 30. I got pretty similar, almost identical photos on the Pro Max with that front camera. Not overly saturated, they had a natural feeling in the colors, no noise, really good minimal face retouching. Bright backgrounds often do get blown out again, and the cutout of portraits, they did have trouble with my hair, which seems to be a trend. And here's a video test with that front-facing camera. And this is a video on the iPhone 12 mini to see how it records audio, as well as using the front-facing camera to see how the stabilization comes out. So I think I'm recording in 4K 24 on this one as well. There's my dog. Her name is Suki. Suki. Hi. She cute. She's so cute. Oh my gosh. So let me know what you guys think of this video. So this is such a cute phone. But man, it's powerful. It's really impressive. I do like the size, mostly because it feels like the classic iPhones that I used to have. It is so lightweight. It's so comfortable to use. I mean, you could hide this thing in your back pocket and nobody would know it was there. The battery lasts a good long time and the camera lenses give you quality photos. Would I choose this one over the 12 Pro Max? No, not likely, but that's because I'm a content creator. I like having the additional camera features and the top of the line specs on the other one. But this one, if you want a small phone, something that is less than $1,000 and comes with really good cameras, I feel like this would be a wonderful purchase, especially if you're already in the iPhone ecosystem. Comment below and let me know if you would purchase an iPhone 12 mini. Thank you again so much to my s'mores for subscribing and for watching. I'm Shannon Morse, and I will see you soon. Bye, y'all. You know how sometimes you can hear my kitty in the studio? This is one of them. Her name is Luna. She's my baby. Hi, Luna. She is a big cuddle bug, mostly because she's afraid to come downstairs because of the puppy. But when I come upstairs, all she wants to do is sit on my lap. So she hangs out with me in the studio.